Saludos programas, I'm Adolfo the Nerdy Puerto Rican, and these are my thoughts on Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2, Episode 2, Ad Astra per Aspera. So the spoiler-free TLDR, the episode was fantastic. Very light on the sci-fi, not a lot of action, but it was a courtroom drama that held your attention the entire episode. All the actors just brought it and made every scene worth it. And in this episode, one thing that seems to be reoccurring is the question, what is the right thing to do? The pacing of this episode was really good as well, so it wasn't just hitting over your head with a lot of drama. There were some great comedic moments, and we finally find out what happens to Una after her arrest at the end of Season 1 when it's brought to Starfleet that she is a genetically modified Illyrian. This episode was fantastic, and at least for me, very introspective. I highly suggest you go check it out. So for those of you that don't want to see any spoilers for this episode, I would definitely stop the video and go ahead and scroll on your way. For those of you that do want to get my full thoughts on this episode, which do include some spoilers, this is your spoiler warning. Wow, this episode was it was an incredible episode, at least in my humble opinion. So basically what happens is that Una's in jail, and Captain Pike, during the events of last week's episode, goes and finds a lawyer by the name of Nira, who is also an Illyrian, who can defend Una in her court-martial trial. There is a lot of Starfleet legal wrangling. Starfleet's treatment of genetically modified persons gets brought to the forefront. But one of the brilliant things I saw about this is that even though it was framed as genetically modified humans, each individual person watching could insert their own situation or their own peoples into that sentence. Because see, for me, I really related. When I was, I think, 1.5, 2 years old, that's when we came up from the island of Puerto Rico and we moved to Massachusetts. Thing is, when we moved to Massachusetts, it was 1980s Massachusetts. And you want to talk about the diversity percentage in the town that we moved into? We were that diversity. Growing up, I had to watch my brothers and my sister deal with a lot of hardships, much like Una shared in her story. Fighting and people putting us down, racist graffiti being put on our house, to the point that my parents really pushed on to me, to the point that my parents really pushed on to me to assimilate, to look like everyone else, and to not have a Spanish accent, to learn English. And I did. And just like in Una's case, because of my complexion, because I assimilated, I was able to fit in and disappear amongst everyone else. But for years, it just grew inside me as to why did I have to hide? Why did I have to hide the fact that I was Puerto Rican? Why did I have to hide the fact that I was Illyrian? And it really hasn't been until these last few years where I have actually felt secure enough and safe enough, much like Una joining Starfleet, to start really diving back into my culture and re-owning the fact that I'm Puerto Rican, re-owning the fact that I'm Illyrian. The character of Nira, the lawyer that Captain Pike found, was a fantastic character, and she really brought Starfleet to task. There were some moments where, watching the episode, you would sit back and wonder, is that the way that you want to be coming at this? But you could see that she had a methodical process in place. And thankfully, in the end, it worked out for Una's favor. Hashtag free Una. But as I said before, that was my big takeaway from this episode. It was very thought-provoking. And with everything going on in the world right now, I think those of us in Una's situation can all say that we are all a little bit Ilarian. And thank you to the Strange New Worlds crew for bringing the story out there and making it so accessible. And like I said, my TLDR, not a lot of sci-fi, not a lot of action. That was fine though, because the drama just kept you on the edge of your seat and wanting to see what was going to happen. And though the main characters in this episode were Una, Nira, and a little bit of Captain Pike, all the other members of the crew had a moment that they added onto the story. It was a great episode, and I can't wait to see what Strange New Worlds brings us next week. So until next time, I'm Adolfo the Nerdy Puerto Rican. Hablamos luego.